Today's video is going to be very interesting because we're going to be speaking about your audience's right to privacy. And the reason we're going to make this video today is because yesterday we spoke about transparency in business and how businesses and brands can use transparency with their audience to really build a very solid and strong brand audience relationship. However, the problem with that is that not every single business has the same objective. And I actually gave the example yesterday of, let's say, a newsletter subscriber who is not happy with the value he is getting. What kind of guarantee is that if he hits the unsubscribe button, that he's going to receive a confirmation that his data or his email address is actually going to be deleted? If he doesn't get the confirmation, he will always have the risk that his email will be roaming around somewhere and the person is going to be getting a lot of spam emails. So therefore, to stay in full control over who you are and what happens with your data, the GDPR has granted consumers certain rights. And this is actually one of the reasons why the GDPR is going to uncover many businesses who are just here for the short term. Because of the GDPR, consumers have such a strong hold that they're able to uncover many businesses if they're not satisfied or they have a suspicion that you're not being very fair in your data processing activities. The reason why this topic is so important, and I want to emphasize on that as well, is exactly two reasons why I'm making this video. A, there are a lot of people and businesses who still believe that they have a natural right to people's personal data. Of course, businesses want to go ahead and reach out to prospects. They want to make those cold calls, cold emails, and making sure that the business keeps coming in. But that does not mean that you have a natural right over somebody else's data, especially if it's another human being. And the second reason why GDPR rights are so important is because it ensures that consumer centricity remains in the forefront of your business practices even after data has been handed over to you. They still have full control over the data, and that is where I always love to say that the GDPR pushes you to do things that you should be doing anyway. And the GDPR is not there to stop businesses from doing their job. It's the quite opposite. And this is exactly where the GDPR provides an umbrella that makes sure that the principles which are acceptable to society are adhered by and businesses stay compliant with that. And so today's core message is that do not be the person who is eager to collect data but does not have the courtesy to respect the autonomy of people's right to privacy and data protection. And this plays a role more than ever before. Just like I said in yesterday's video, that the Gen Z is the privacy generation. 42% of Gen Zs are very well aware of their privacy rights according to GDPR. And those GDPR rights are actually very, very interesting. Unfairly, perhaps there are a lot of rights that are covered by many businesses as certain services, but in fact, we wouldn't have those luxuries if it wasn't for the GDPR. And that is exactly what's so interesting about it. Let me give you an example. For example, your audience has the right to send any business out there a letter requesting a copy and an access to any kind of personal data they have stored about them. Think about a credit score agency. How many credit score agencies are, advertising that, you can pay $29.99 and you can get a full credit report from us, and it's like a service. But in fact, you can actually demand a copy of your data from the credit score agency free of charge, but at least once a year. It's going to have an entire outline of personal data about you stored by them. And the same thing goes for the audience about you. They have a right to send a letter to your business to make sure that they can get access to any kind of personal data that you have stored about them. The second thing is that they have a right to object. For example, you're using, legitimate interest, and a consumer is going to say, you shouldn't be using legitimate interest because you're not providing enough value in that regard. So they can actually object against that. And you would at least need to go ahead and cease the data processing activity until that matter is resolved. The next thing is the very famous unsubscribe button, which has to be in every single direct marketing email, because that comes down to the right to withdraw consent wherever it was given. Then we have the right to restrict. Again, think of a credit score agency. The credit score agency says, you owe that much money to this business, and you as a consumer say, well, that's not true. You have the right to dispute that and to restrict the data processing activity, that piece of information needs to be now taken out and put to the side to a safe place until the matter is resolved. Then we have the right to be informed. Remember, guys, Article 13 and Article 14 of the EU GDPR make sure you're providing a privacy statement at the time of data collection, not way before that, not after that. And the next one is also very interesting, the right to data portability. And especially in the UK, France, and Germany, we see many banks advertising with the service that, if you change your bank account to us, you're automatically going to shift all your direct debits and bank account details to us. However, what comes across as a very good service is actually a right to GDPR, that when you leave a business, so for example, you're leaving a bank now and you're taking your account, you have a right to take your data with you in a machine readable format, and you can take that with you. So for example, all your direct debits and so on, every single information that the bank has stored about you, you are allowed to take that with you in a machine readable format, so another business can actually make use of that. Then we have the right not to be subject to automated decision making, which means that, wherever your information is used to make a decision about you, which has perhaps a significant impact on you, that there's always a human being involved in that decision. Then we have the right to rectification. Again, you have the right to decide who you are, who you want to be in society, and if there's something stored wrongfully about you, you can go ahead and make sure you rectify that, or you demand from the business that your data should be corrected. Very famous, the right to be forgotten, and we are very thankful to the GDPR that there are plenty of beer pong videos that have been deleted, luckily, from the internet, which would be still roaming around if it wasn't for the GDPR. And that is probably the most dangerous one, is that every single person has the right to complain to a data protection authority. If they're not happy with you, they can launch a complaint. And whether or not it has merit, the data protection authority, I can guarantee you that they're at least going to try and follow up on that. They're going to send you a letter and going to try and find out what actually happened. And the thing with that is that if a few consumers were to do that, it's very quick to get on the radar of a data protection authority. And yes, those are exactly the authorities that, come along and hand out all the GDPR fines, warnings, and so on. So that is why it's important to understand these key factors, that businesses do not have a natural right on someone's personal data. And secondly, it's very important to take into account the concept of transparency. So it never gets to the point where somebody is going to go ahead and complain about you or your marketing campaigns to the data protection authority, because if you let them know, they're going to trust you more. And even if a mistake happens along the way, at least you have such a strong brand audience relationship that they're going to trust you're doing the right thing, as long as you're being transparent. I hope you like this video, and I shall see you on the next one.